This is actually a question to Dr. Laitman. I mean, I'm trying to trace it back and like, how come people have this feeling that the Jews are everywhere? Such a small group, people feel like they're everywhere. People have such conflicting, accusations against them. It's almost, and even now, forget Middle Ages. Even now, with information open, Google, all that, still people have this weird concept.
The protocols still sell.
Right, still sell. So
not only in the Arab world, but in the West.
Right. So I want to know, like,
Of course. That is actually understandable. The thing is that Jews and the rest of the nations of the world are divided by two forces of nature. There is something called a force of reception and a force of bestowal. The Jews they carry a root, a link to the force of bestowal in nature, and they can be a conduit for that force in the world, but they're not doing so. The rest of the world...
The positive force, Dr. Laitman, is this like plus and minus? We're talking about it in these terms?
Well, plus and minus, just like in electricity, you have to have both. You need both, but you need balance between both, and then they can be reciprocally and mutually connected. But because the world is driven by the human ego, and yet the Jewish group, that group originally, had a method for how to balance that ego. Look at the crisis that is escalating today. If you really understand what's going on in the world, you see that there is a multifaceted, globally integrated crisis. And it is escalating, and it's integrated and interdependent, and it's never been like that before. And that's because the human ego of humanity is gradually growing. It's exponentially growing, and we are becoming interconnected across the globe. How and what can we do about it? So the wisdom of Kabbalah explains it simply. The human ego, the growth of the human ego, the natural growth of the human ego needs to be balanced with another force. You can call that a positive force, a force of unity, the force of bestowal. But we have to know how to extract that natural force from nature itself, how to take it from potential to actual, how to reveal that force. And then we can balance it, just like plus and minus. So then with that conduit, with that resistor between the plus and minus, you can produce good productive outcomes from both plus and minus. But otherwise, humanity is gradually deteriorating once again into a world war, once again into such crises. You can predict these outcomes. The thing is that there is this relentless hatred towards Jews because they carry, I'm not talking about Jews as just plain people on the street, going to their synagogue or whatever. They don't understand anything about what I'm saying right now. But in the wisdom of Kabbalah, there is a method that comes from the foundation of that group, which was a model for how to balance the human ego, how human beings can balance the human ego and live together. That needs to be revealed and model and put in front of the world as a model. So people think that there is something hidden, some method, some key, something is hidden in the Jews. Where does the protocols of the elders of Zion comes from? I'm saying, take the wisdom of Kabbalah, it's all in front of you. Learn it, understand what it is. That's why I'm writing books to further clarify it, and other Kabbalists do the same. Essentially, it's about how to balance the human ego so that we can have both the negative and positive force balanced, and then we can live in peace with each other. It's not about the Jews in terms of, those 15 or 20 million Jews in the world. It's not the point. What the world cannot get rid of is how to solve the problem of the human ego. That's what lies at the core. That's the balance that we are lacking, and that's why what is demanded from the Jews. That's what is needed from the Jews. To take from their ancient method of the wisdom of Kabbalah the way for how to balance that negative force with the positive force.